everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sitting down for a really exciting interview today with Dom Carosa, founder and chairman of Banxa. For all of you watching the excitement in the crypto space, this is a company you're really going to be interested in because it gives you public market exposure to the industry. So as a refresher, if you haven't seen the stock before, it trades in Canada under the ticker symbol BNXA.V and in the US, BNXAF. So Dom, thanks again for coming in to chat with us.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
So you've got a particularly interesting background. So for those of investors out there that do not know you, why don't you quickly just introduce yourself and walk us through a bit of a summary of your background?
Yeah, thanks. So my name's Domenic Carosa, founder and chair of Banxa. I think first and foremost, I really see myself as a nerd. I love technology. I grew up with tech, and really over the last few years, really been combining technology and business, and listed my first company on the Australian Stock Exchange in 2000, and which I ran for 8 years, and then ran an early stage venture capital fund. Got involved and interested in crypto in 2013 and launched Banxa and a number of other companies in the space. And so I love this new technology, and I'm sure during this interview we can talk about what are going to be some of the key applications, outside payments and outside Banxa, and I'm sure we'll talk about NFTs and DeFi as well.
Excellent. So, okay, well, like I said, for somebody who's not familiar with the story, how about let's go into the basics. What exactly does Banxa do, and what kind of differentiates you from other players in your space?
If to put Banxa in a box, I would say we're like the PayPal of the crypto industry, the PayPal or Stripe of the crypto industry. So that's kind of the elevator pitch. In terms of unwrapping that a little bit more, and taking a step back, as more and more people get involved in this whole ecosystem, whether you're into Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi, and NFTs, once again, we're going to talk more about that. Most people today, in fact, everyone today, lives in what is called the fiat world, the US, Euro, Canadian, Australian dollar world. And so Banxa is really about creating a bridge, a payments and compliance bridge between the fiat world and the digital asset world. And so we call them the fiat on-ramps, the fiat off-ramps. And that's basically our business, is in running all of that infrastructure. So we're really a platform. We're a platform play that gives investors exposure to the entire industry without actually owning the underlying Bitcoin or other coins.
I love the appeal of the infrastructure play always, especially in a world that's a volatile market like cryptocurrency. So very, very newsworthy piece of press release came out recently. So congratulations on your really, really impressive December year-over-year total trading volume numbers. So let's talk about TTV, total trading volume. First off, what is that, and what do you attribute the growth to, and how are you going to maintain such momentum?
Yeah, we recorded over 600 million of TTV, total transaction value, which was up almost basically double from the prior quarter. So we're definitely pleased with those results. And once again, looking forward, there's no reason why the business couldn't be doing billions of dollars every quarter, given there are significant tailwinds in this industry. And the way that we make money as an organization is that we charge a transactional fee. So every time, the easiest way to look at it is we are like a toll road. And when you drive onto the toll road, you got to pay the fee. When you drive off the toll road, you need to pay a fee. And so that is basically the fiat on-ramp, the fiat off-ramp. And that's how we make money, microtransactions. And so the business model that we are building has a high degree of leverage. And what that means is whether we're doing 600 million of transactions a quarter, or we're doing 6 billion of transactions a quarter, the technology does the heavy lifting. And that's obviously when the SaaS style EBITDA margins, will flow.
Well, and I love seeing that, whether crypto is moving up or it's moving down, if it's moving up and people are pouring money into the space there, you have to on-ramp them onto the platform. You can collect your fee. If it's the reverse and they come off, you collect your fee again. So you don't really have to, predict the price trajectory of these underlying assets. You guys get paid either way. That's got to be nice.
Yeah. For us, the most important thing is volatility. Volatility is our best friend. And in that respect, we know that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and really the whole ecosystem is actually quite volatile. So whenever we hear that, that is music to our ears.
I bet. So we were discussing the aspect of an on-ramp and an off-ramp. So one of my other questions here is, can you define and describe this, what you call the layer 2 fiat on-ramp, and how that's going to drive revenue growth for you?
Yeah, maybe before I answer that question, just to provide the viewers just a bit sort of more insight. So there's this concept of layer 1 and layer 2. And the one way, there's layer 1 blockchains, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and layer 2 chains basically are built on top of those layer 1 chains. And so the example is there's Bitcoin, and then there's the Lightning Network that sits over Bitcoin. And there are multiple benefits in terms of transactional costs and fees. And so what Banxa is doing is integrating effectively these layer 2 protocols into our network. You may ask, why is that important? With the growth of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, DeFi, and increasingly gaming, layer 2 tokens is what is being consumed from an economic sense because of, and we won't go into, the technical nuances of throughput and, whether it's proof of work, proof of stake. So I'm not going to get too nerdy on everyone, but basically what it means is a faster and cheaper transaction, which will power NFTs, DeFi, and gaming. And that's basically the place that Banxa works. So we're adding layer 2, more and more layer 2 protocols, which ultimately will expose Banxa to a larger target market, not just across the crypto exchanges, but in DeFi and NFTs. And in fact, DeFi and NFTs and gaming is going to be way bigger than people just buying coins, for speculation or for trading. Like that whole industry is many, many times larger.
Oh, I bet. It's incredible seeing some of the growth happening right now around the world in that space. It's mind-boggling, and certainly seeing lots of mentions of the Bitcoin Lightning Network, picking up steam. That's really exciting that you guys are involved in that. So, okay, we've discussed your current revenue model. Going forward, how do you see your revenue model evolving or changing in some way?
At the core, we are a B2B business. And so what we do as an organization is that we provide payment infrastructure as well as providing regulatory and compliance infrastructure to our clients as well. And as I mentioned, we're B2B. So we take our technology, our payments and compliance, we wrap that into an API or a widget, which is just another fancy name for a technical connection. We plug that into global crypto to crypto exchanges and DeFi platforms, like Binance, OKX, Huobi, and increasingly you'll see more DeFi platforms, more NFT platforms. We plug it in, and then we allow their customers to go from fiat to a coin and then back again. And so one of the points that you raised earlier, we're not here to pick the winner. Because we are a platform play, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or Cosmos, it doesn't matter to us which coin or tokens win. And so in that respect, that's why, in my view, the business has significant potential, because if you work on the adage of the tokenization of everything, I'm sure you've heard that comment before. Yeah. I think we're just going to see so many more things coming onto the blockchain, particularly with the smart contract technology. And then Banxa is the conduit from the 7 billion people in the fiat world into the digital asset market, which is now growing very rapidly. And more importantly, it's going from the early adopter market to mass market. So we're just we are at the tip of the iceberg. This is like 1996, 1997 when it comes to those that remember the internet boom of the late 90s. And
especially now with the excitement building around the metaverse and Facebook, now Meta, clearly signaling a shift to go all in. I mean, just the amount of activity and transactional activity happening in these kind of virtual worlds is nothing short of like truly incredible.
Undoubtedly.
So, when we started the interview, I mentioned a couple ticker symbols. You do have a US over-the-counter symbol, BNXAF. However, you did announce that you've submitted an application to the NASDAQ. Obviously, that is the truly big leagues. Can you share anything about that? How's that going? And at the end of the day, what does a NASDAQ listing even mean for investors?
That's a really good question. First and foremost, Banxa belongs on NASDAQ, in my view. We've started the process. We're in active discussions with both NASDAQ and the SEC. What it means for investors is NASDAQ is the biggest technology exchange in the world. And so from a liquidity perspective, from research perspective, and there's a real deepness of the NASDAQ equity market, I believe that Banxa will benefit significantly from that. And we're also realists. It's not going to be from day one it's going to get that instant hit. It's going to be building over time as we build a reputation and a brand out in the NASDAQ market. We're already starting to have discussions with a number of broking firms and research firms. In fact, Lake Street released some research on the company only a couple of months ago, and we're talking to some other firms as well. So, all of this is just, one step closer to NASDAQ listing. I'd expect, if I was a betting man, this half of 2022. Obviously, we're going to try and do it faster, but there's only so many, so much you can do in terms of pushing paperwork back and forth. And I think that's going to be a really important milestone for the organization.
Well, it is an important milestone, particularly because, as companies are growing, most companies don't qualify to get onto the big board exchanges. And obviously, the first thing I think of it is unlocking Robinhood. You have to be on the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ to trade on Robinhood. And I think it goes without saying at this point that is a truly massive and influential group of investors. But, in addition to this, I know you were talking about this would also help with institutional kind of coverage and awareness as well.
Undoubtedly. There are many institutions that can only buy NASDAQ and NYSE stocks. And by going on NASDAQ, we open up another 80% of new investor base than what we currently got access to. So, that is, and with more eyeballs on Banxa, and just to give, some insight without once again getting too caught up on the numbers, there was a report that came out late last year that looked at us and a number of other NASDAQ companies. We were trading at roughly enterprise value, revenue to enterprise value of 3. The median and the mean were between 10 and 12. And they were mainly NASDAQ listed companies. So just to repeat that, we're trading at 3 times revenue to EV, enterprise value. The average and mean is between 11 and 12 times for similar NASDAQ companies.
No kidding. Holy. So there's a pretty substantial potential arbitrage there. That's impressive. So you have a ton of things to be excited about in 2022. We've talked about a few of them, but I mean, if I was to leave an open-ended question and to say, what are you most excited about in terms of your company's future? Is there something in particular that you would choose, or you can even share a couple things if you wish?
I think it goes beyond Banxa. We believe that, bit by bit, we're actually helping change the world. And if you may ask, obviously as a Banxa organization, our focus is on shareholders, delivering shareholder value, building a great customer experience with a fantastic team. Check all those boxes. However, for me and for our broader team, there's a bigger vision. There's a bigger opportunity at play, and that is ultimately what blockchain and cryptocurrencies do. Putting aside the prices and everything else, at its core is the start of a new financial peer-to-peer system that doesn't have a middleman, middle government, or middle organization. And then when you take the notion of the tokenization of everything, it means a piece of artwork can be tokenized into multiple NFTs. An artist can sell limited edition NFTs of their art or their work, their musical. Gamers can be rewarded for playing games, in cryptocurrency. And the reason why I believe we as an organization are here is because in terms of getting access to the technology and the financial system, whether you are at a high story, high rise in New York at an investment bank, or you're laying on the beach in Bali, or you're ploughing the fields of Rwanda, you will have access to the same information and the same access to financial tools out there. And for me, that's really about changing the world, one block at a time. And if you want to take it that next level, and I'm talking 10, 20 years into the future, in my view, there will be a digital voting token that each one of our 7 billion souls on this planet will have. And then we as 7 billion people with this token that proves I am who I am will be able to vote for the people that we want, the policies that we want, the type of government that we want. And it's all open and transparent, and it's on the blockchain. And that is a mission worth working towards.
I couldn't agree more. And in such a society, I guess you can't claim voter fraud or anything like that either. So it just makes it, seamless, efficient, transparent, everything that it should be. So certainly lots to look forward to.
Yeah, and ultimately allowing people to be their own bank. Especially important in the current times.
Well, Dom, thank you so much. This was fun. I really enjoyed this one, and this is a company that I'm going to want to keep. I'm going to want to keep bugging you for interviews because I feel like there's just a world of knowledge I want to tap into, especially in this industry. It is not simple, so it's fantastic. But to have somebody like you on the channel explain it in such an understandable way. So thank you once again. For those of you at home, if you have questions, reach out to us. Don't hesitate. Comment below. We want to do this again, and we want to be answering your questions. So as a final reminder, Banxa trades in Canada under the ticker symbol BNXA.V. And for now, in the US over the counter, BNXAF, with, fingers crossed, a NASDAQ listing coming soon. Dom, thanks again so much.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.